We'll go over, well, we're opening the meeting at 10 after 6. Welcome, everybody, to the Carver Elementary School Building Committee meeting, and all you wonderful young people. We saw your school tonight. It is awesome. Would you join me in pledging allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't have access to the Wi-Fi.
Okay, review the agenda. We're having the minutes of our last meeting, which was December 4th. Then we have some project area presentations. Is that the way we should put it? Yep. The building plaque, a discussion. Discussion on the grand opening subcommittees meetings, the general construction update, and then any new business. Okay, so we don't want to hold the young people for any longer than we have to, so we will go right into that presentation first. Scott?
I think they're still setting it up, are they?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, we're still
Okay.
trying to get
So,
that set up.
All right.
Make a
I need to have
motion.
the presentation.
Minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of December 4th, 2017.
Second.
Do we have any additions or omissions on that? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We're, okay, Mr. O'Brien and Heather abstain. Kelly? Okay. So we are
Do you want to start
waiting
with
until
the, we want to start with the grand opening subcommittee while we wait? Would that,
all right. We could
might
do
wanna hear
that.
about
Yep.
that
Okay.
while they're getting that set up, and then as soon as they're
Who should we hit on that?
I can
Ruby?
start. I can
Ruby.
start. So, our subcommittee that is comprised of myself and Dan, as well as James. A couple members from the PTO have come to join us the last couple of meetings, Mr. Neef as well, and Heather Sepulveda, she's a part of our subcommittee as well. So this is our subcommittee that is,
Mr. Baldo.
and Mr. Baldo, who is here tonight. Thank you, Mr. Baldo. So our subcommittee has been charged with really the planning of the end-of-year activities and the beginning of year, including the grand opening at the new school. So, as I mentioned, we've met several times. We are currently working on several pieces. We have a community event that we're planning to celebrate on June 9th, and it's going to be a fond farewell is what we're calling it. And I'm going to have Mr. Baldo actually come on up and help to add some pieces to all of this. What we are going to do is we're going to set up a very exciting but a fond farewell that's going to include, we have some representatives from the community that are going to help with photography. We've done some collaboration with the Boosterthon for the last 3 years, so they consider themselves to be a part of the Carver community, so they're going to come and they're going to have music and sort of DJ outside on the circle. We're going to have Mr. Skinner to help us take some photos, and we're going to be soliciting some of our local restaurants to help with food, including Chef Portelance, for our fond farewell. And at this time, at that event, our plan is to showcase some of the things we've been working on for our time capsule. We're planning to have parents be able to come, everyone from the community, come into both of the buildings, come and visit the EKW building and just walk through, take their time as they sort of reminisce, if you will, and spend some time in the GJC building as well. taking pictures. We'll have a slideshow of photos in both of the buildings so that parents can see. Mr. Baldo has been working on photos that he's gathered from the last 50 years. 35 years. It's been a while that we're working on so that we can have just sort of scrolling through on the screen as families come by to visit and say goodbye. We're going to give the community an opportunity to sort of sign their name on the wall before the buildings come down. So our plan is to share this information with the community through social media. We'll be distributing some flyers at town meeting to let people know about the event. And want to add anything else about the fond farewell for the community? Because we have a series of events that we're planning.
I think you've hit all the salient points right now.
Okay, we're also going to be doing a series of events with the Carver Elementary School staff and students over the course of the last, sort of starting around the end of May. So for example, we're going to have the Carver High School seniors, just a few days prior to their graduation, they're going to be able to wear their cap and gown and come to the elementary school and do what we're going to call a senior walkthrough, so that our children will stand outside in the hallways and just high-five them, greet them, acknowledge them, congratulate them, and the seniors will have an opportunity to sort of parade through both buildings, and that'll be a part of the fond farewell, so to speak. Then after that, we're also going to be celebrating assembly with our time capsule. There is a actually the week of April break, Mr. Siedentoff will be locating that time capsule that we are almost sure that we know where it's at. We haven't quite set our eyes on it, but we are 99.9% sure of where it's at right now. So he's going to be working on digging it out, and then we'll actually have an opportunity to see what's actually in it. We'll have some of those events with the children at the end of the school year in what we call all school assemblies. We're also planning our grand opening, which will be the Saturday in August, and that day we're going to have some of our students. They're going to talk to you a little bit about the project naming ceremony, but we're going to also incorporate a scavenger hunt, opportunities for families and students to come and find different sections of the new school building. And Mr. Baldo's working on some of that as well. Do you want to share a little bit about the scavenger hunt? Sure.
Good evening. I spoke to my students and talked to them about, excuse me, what would be important in a new school? What would be important, where to go? And obviously they all come up with the bathroom. And where's the recess yard? So I told them that'd be outside the building. We're not worried about that. But they came up with a lengthy list of things that if they were new, because this will be the first time in the building for all the students, what would be important to know? Where's my classroom? How do I get from here to there? And so we developed, with the help of my students, a list of potential areas that we thought would be cool on a scavenger hunt for the grand opening. So the community would come in, they would be provided the sheet, and we still got to work out the details about how that's going to work. So just and it will be all kinds of things, locations in the building, including offices, classrooms, and my grade 5, the entire grade 5 staff and students have been real helpful with helping me come up with the ideas, because we keep asking the kids. I mean, they're not getting into the building, but they're so much a part of this new school. They've been living with it for 2 years. So we're trying to make them as vested in the new building as much as the 4th grade that's going into the new school. So that's, I guess, it for scavenger hunt. Do you want me to just jump on time capsule real fast?
Sure.
Or no? Okay. So we keep talking about the time capsule. So we're hoping once we get eyes on it, and we actually have the time capsule, we'll have a huge ceremony about opening the time capsule. And at the closing of the school, we thought it would be nice to have the items on display so that the whole community can see what they placed in the grounds in the 1970s. And the time capsule, again, I've been asking initially 5th grade, then the entire school to give me their input as to what would you put into a time capsule, what's important. And I know I've spoken to the committee before because we had 1st graders who wanted to put the parking lot in it. I've been working on that, okay? I just haven't figured out how to do that. But lots of ideas that are all coming from the students about what would you want to tell the future about you, about ourselves. And currently we have a sheet going around to all teachers. They're all surveying their classes about like their favorite book, their favorite music. I can't imagine what that'll be like in 50, 70 years, like, you know, who's your favorite musical artist? And maybe some of them will still be around. Look at the Beach Boys. So all those kinds of things. We've got the surveys coming in. We've got them all done because the capsule's small. And for the first time, I actually got to see the spot where it's going to land, which is really exciting for me. And then we still have to work out some more details. I've asked some community members for input as to what should go into the school time capsule as well, like things that were from community that are school important, school related. And then we'll have a closing ceremony of the time capsule, and at some point a placement ceremony, or it'll be placed in the new building. I believe that's where I am with that.
So the subcommittee is also working on a big part of the agenda for the grand opening. And it's going to be very student-focused. So we will have, our plan is to have students that are involved with the project naming actually be presenting and sharing information about what they've learned and why they feel that certain areas should be named. That's part of what we're going to actually do tonight. You'll hear them present and share information that they have researched. They have worked for the last several months with their teacher, Mrs. Gesualdo, as well as some local community members who have a lot of knowledge about the beginning of Carver. So we want the grand opening to be, again, very student-focused. We are going to have at one of our last all-school assemblies, we're going to have a school-wide drawing where we're going to draw 2 names from every grade level, and it's just going to be a random drawing, and those students are going to be at the grand opening with us to do the ribbon cutting as well. So we're anticipating that there'll be a few students with us, and that's going to be very exciting. We're going to have tours by our student ambassadors. So Mrs. Dawson will be working, once we're able to bring students into the new school this summer, we will be working with our student ambassadors. We have 24 of them at this point, but they're going to be tour guides. So they're going to learn all about the school. They're going to learn, we'll have maps for them, but we want them to then be greeters and tour guides and share out with the students and the community all of their knowledge as they're going through the school building and explain the different areas in the school. We're planning to have some music as well, connecting with some of our local high school students that are very talented and set them up in different parts of the building. I mean, it's an enormous building, so we'll have plenty of locations, but we want to have it be a lively, very student-focused event that's welcoming, warm, and just really showing off that beautiful school. So we're working out a lot of those details, and it's kind of coming down to the wire now. We're putting it all together. Mr. O'Brien, you can add some things. You've been
A lot
at the
of
meetings.
support from the PTO with that too. They've been
Yes.
very helpful since they started.
Yes, Mrs. Jen Lynham and Miss Kristen Moore have been at our meetings, just bringing in a lot of ideas and support, and fully on board with making this a very exciting event for us.
Wow, sounds great.
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned the one thing at the closing that there was an intent. I don't remember how the conversation ended, but a photographer there. So we were looking to set times where if you went through the school during this decade, that to be there at that time. So they were trying to take photographs of as many people as they could, sort of gathering through that decade of time.
Right, I didn't mention that. So the idea would be, we definitely want to advertise, let people know. So if you have a group of friends that's in the area and you want to go, let's say you graduated in 1975, you wanted to pull a little group of your friends together and go take a sort of a reunion-like photo, that would be an opportunity for that. And Or it could be with your family or, you know, generations of family. So we'll have a photo opportunity as well. And we're also working on getting some, we're working with Mr. Siedentoff and John Daly Priscoli, because our plan is also to obtain a number of bricks from the John Carver building. We haven't determined the exact number, but the idea behind that is to be able to use them as a fundraiser. People in the community will be able to buy a brick from the John Carver building. Ideally, we'd like to have them engraved, and then the funds would go to help defray costs for the grand opening, and then possibly if there's any leftover money, at that point, maybe it would go for the running track that we're also fundraising for.
Very good. Any more discussion on that phase of our meeting?
The only thing I'd added, Ruby and James, thanks for the summary, is in our notes from the last meeting, we said that we haven't established a next meeting, but we said we'd do
We have
that
to do
tonight.
that tonight.
We said that while we're all here, maybe we should pick a time for our next meeting of that subcommittee. So I don't know if we could do
You
that.
said, though, you maybe want to let the kids present, and then we can go on from there.
Whatever you guys want to do, whatever the committee wills.
Ready for them?
We are ready. Yep. Sorry for our delay in terms of technology, but we're up and running and we're ready.
Just let me run, James, if you set the time for your next meeting, then everybody will already know. You won't have any problem publicizing it, so that, or do you want to wait?
Let's set them, let's set it.
You want to set it now?
Whatever you.
Set it
Yes.
now.
This is for the
Set it.
subcommittee meeting,
This is just for the subcommittee meeting of the grand opening.
So
yeah.
anybody that's interested in the ceremony planning,
They could come down.
they're going to know right now when the meeting is, right?
Right.
What do you suggest?
Has it been a better night for our group? What's a better night for you?
Not Tuesday.
Okay, not Tuesday.
I would say that within a couple of weeks, but then the April break is coming up, so I would say either the 10th, not a Tuesday, so the 11th, or else when we return after the break, like the 25th. I just feel like we have a lot to
I can do the
plan.
25th. I'm totally open on the 20th.
25th also.
James, can you do the 25th? So Wednesday night?
What time?
So
We've been meeting at 6.
Okay.
Does that work for everybody?
Yep.
Mhm.
And we'll want to stay at central office?
Yes.
We'll be meeting in central office 6 o'clock on the 25th.
Okay, everybody's got that?
Yep.
Okay, the 25th, at 6 PM at the central office. That's a ceremony committee meeting.
Yep.
Okay,
All right,
Good.
beautiful. Thank you.
very
And
good.
again, I apologize for our technology delay, but we're up and running, and we're ready for Mr. Swaldo and the students to go up and make their presentation. I will clear out of the space so you can use this mic.
Welcome aboard, guys.
Do you want me to work the,
Just hit the first one. Whoa. Okay, it's Mr. Napier, and I know that.
I'll run it. I'll run it over that screen.
Good evening. My name is Deb Gesualdo, and I know most of you. For some of you, I'm not familiar with, but I have the pleasure of working with Carver's wonderful children, and I consider that an honor. In the winter, before the holiday break, Mrs. Maestas mentioned to the 5th grade team the idea that you had, that germinated here, to help look at the history of Carver and have the children participate in the research and the identifying of the appropriate names to name these areas after. So when Mrs. Maestas brought this up, I had to refrain from bowling over every 5th grade teacher to jump at this opportunity. So it's been a wonderful thing for me as a teacher, and these children have been wonderful. I would like to introduce our research team: Michaela Swanson, Sarah Stairs, Ava Ricker, Kyle Hoffman, Maddie Azara, and Ben Durant. And they are going to explain the process and take it from here. So if you guys just want to come here, step right back. You can take a peek behind you to help you, and I'll get out of your way.
And talk right in the microphone, and then people at home can hear us.
Right down a little further so you can all sort of fit in, and then Take a nice look. You're all clean and beautiful looking.
These are the norms that our group agreed on before starting. All candidates for consideration will be those who directly affected Carver or the land now known as Carver. Candidates who exhibited his or her actions and understanding of the importance of education will also be considered. Candidates who showed unusual kindness or consideration to those living in Carver will be considered, and candidates whose actions showed faith in the land or community of Carver will be considered.
One important question. Why not Governor John Carver? Although Governor John Carver was the beloved leader of the original Plymouth settlers, the team's research showed that Governor John Carver had no direct relation to the town of Carver. The team would like to encourage the community to remember that Governor John Carver remains honored every time we speak or write our town's name.
Why don't you take your microphone and turn it around, and you can come on this side of the table, or see the board up there. That's good.
There we go.
Process. The team started with 10 potential candidates. The research team volunteered personal time and participated in many working lunches. The group consulted with Amy Shepherdson of the Carver Public Library regarding its selections. All selections were made by unanimous votes. Multiple resources were used, including online resources, print media, birth and death records.
The Pokanockets. The Pokanocket people were a subgroup of the Wampanoag whose permanent settlement was in the Bristol, Rhode Island area. The Pokanockets were native people who hunted, gathered, and camped in what is now Carver. They were the first people to appreciate Carver's natural bounty.
Jonathan Shaw. Although people began to farm in Carver's land, Shaw was the first person of European descent to build his permanent residence in Carver. This occurred around 1660. Bartlett Murdoch, 1729 to 1795. Bartlett Murdoch opened the Charlotte Furnace in South Carver. He provided much-needed jobs for Carver's residents. He enabled the South Carver to be developed.
William Savory. William Savory, 1815 to 1899. William Savory was a supporter of education. He donated a school bell to a school in South Carver. He donated $100 per year to 3 of Carver's schools, and he donated 42 books to each of Carver's 3 schools so that they could start their school libraries.
Ellis D. Atwood. Ellis D. Atwood, 1889 to 1950. Ellis D. Atwood was a cranberry grower. He provided rent-free, safe, clean, and comfortable housing for cranberry bog workers. Mr. Atwood was the founder of Edaville Railroad, which operates in Carver to this day.
Laura Haywood Hudson, 1885 to 1974. Laura Haywood Hudson taught for many years in Carver. She donated her collection of literature so that Carver would have its first library. She was well respected in the community.
Thank you to the School Building Committee for asking us to take part in this important project. Thank you to Mrs. Maestas for having the faith in us to see this naming project through. Thank you to Mrs. Gesualdo for helping us through the process. Thank you to Mrs. Shepherdson for helping us with our research and sharing her time with us.
Thank you to us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Mr. Ward, our students came up with those, from the 10 that they started with, they came up with those 6. And one of the other pieces of, one of the other tasks that they tasked them with was to share with us where they felt each of those, or which grade level should be named after which person. So they have actually gone one step further and assigned one of these names to each project area. And they did so after another series of meetings, looking over each of the candidates, each of their, all of their information, all of the background that they had, and how they would fit in with each grade level. So I was hoping that we would listen to that as well.
Yes. Are we going to proceed and vote on that name list tonight? Or doesn't that have to happen?
I would think so.
Yep.
So I don't know if we want to hear what their proposal is for each grade level first, and then maybe we'll make a motion that supports.
Okay, I didn't mean to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
Okay, we met twice recently. On Friday, the decision was made. The kindergarten project room will be called the Pokanocket Project Room. Grade 1, the Jonathan Shaw Project Room. Grade 2, the Bartlett Murdoch Project Room. Grade 3, the William Savory Project Room. Grade 4, the LSD Atwood Project Room. And grade 5, the Laura Haywood Hudson Project Room.
Okay.
So I would make a motion that the kindergarten project area be named after the Pokanockets. That the first grade project area would be named after Jonathan Shaw. That the second grade project area would be named after
Murdoch.
Bartlett
Murdoch.
Bartlett Murdoch, sorry. That the third grade project area would be named after William Savory. That the fourth grade project area would be named after LSD Atwood. And that the fifth grade project area would be named after Laura Hayward Hudson.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? I think that these young people have gone to so much investigation and everything that I think that's a wonderful docket, so.
Good job.
Shall we,
No, I'd just like to add, I think they did an outstanding job in terms of their research. And really, it's a broad scope in terms of Carver's history.
Yes.
Going back from the Native Americans who lived in this land to most recently, if I do, to LSD Atwood, I think. In terms of
Mrs. Hudson was
Mrs. Hudson
around
was
for-
1974 to Mrs. Hudson.
Yeah.
So I think that's a broad scope of the history of
remember
Carver as
her.
represented.
I know I'm an old but
So-
yes,
And really representative of a lot of different areas of the growth of the town. So I just think it's tremendous, the efforts that the students went to come up with those recommendations for our 6 project areas, and I fully support it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your contributions. I think it's really going to help make your school, the new school, really special. I know you guys did a lot of hard work, and it was very brave of you to come here and speak in front of everybody. That's hard, too. Good job.
I'd like to congratulate them on the process, because I think if you think back to what we were originally looking for, their process really met exactly what we were looking for, and they've done exactly what we were looking to try and do. So I thank you very much, also. Great job.
and we talked about it a lot when we were first talking about the name of the school. And we wanted to incorporate history in your school. And so you have hit it right on the head. Very good.
And we learned a little history tonight, too.
Yes, I did. Definitely.
And if I can just add for the community, the whole purpose behind naming the project areas, residents of Carver who celebrated Carver and contributed so much was really back to what you just said. We want our children, we want our families of Carver to know their roots. we really felt like that was extremely meaningful, and we thought there would be no better way than to do it through the new elementary school. And so that every time a student goes by the project area, and our plan is to put these plaques on each project area in a special place, and so when students or adults or whoever walks by, you will see the plaque, and we want children to be inquisitive and curious and ask, well, who was Mrs. Hudson, and what did she do, and why was she selected, and those kind of conversations are inspiring. They give us knowledge, and they lead us to more curiosity and more questions. So that's the whole idea behind it.
It's great.
And we have a cranberry grower on there, Mr. Atwood. Okay, are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All those in favor of adopting this slate that the young people have suggested to us, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We support
Wow,
your
I
slate.
have to give them a big round of applause.
Mr. Ward,
Yes.
if appropriate, I'd also like to make a motion that we, and somehow within the building, I don't know exactly, and we can talk about it a little bit, that we recognize these students as the students who did the foundational work and the research to name the project areas. So I don't know if we can do a separate small plaque that recognizes them for their work in terms of the naming of the project areas, and also hang that in one of the project areas. So I would make that motion to the committee.
Second.
Second.
So isn't the intent to have some kind of information about them in that area?
Yes.
So wouldn't it almost be better to give them credit in that area than opposed to a separate plaque possibly? Like if they did the investigation, the name is there, the information is in that area to put their sort of.
Yeah, I'm not looking for necessarily a separate project area. It could be, I don't know, we'd have to talk about how they broke down their research. Did one student do one individual person and put that
I
as the
guess
research
that,
contribution,
Yeah, it
or
might have been a team effort.
was it a team effort and have all 5 in one? Team effort?
Team effort.
Team effort. So I don't know if we just maybe do all 5 and then put it in one of the project areas near the recognition.
We have a consensus on that, folks? Without voting? Need to vote on it?
There is a motion and a second on that.
All those in favor of that idea?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Unanimous? We do things unanimously for you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, everybody.
want us to take a minute break so that you can...
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Come on up and right in front here.
Can I photo bomb it?
Through you, Chairman.
And the committee can stand up too in back of it. Move back, guys.
Where these plaques come from? Gonna be in the project? Or okay.
They don't.
These 5 and one more?
Themselves.
Remember we...
Oh, that was awesome.
Middle, it's like, I don't think they'll get their gear on.
Leaning away.
Good. Okay, we're just gonna make sure we get it in these like submittal packets that are already reviewed. We're waiting just to change this one.
Thank you. Good job. It was so awesome. You were great. Thank you, Ava.
Thanks for all your work.
Thank you. You did a great
Very
job.
much.
Good job.
Thank you. Nice job.
Good job.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Good job.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Nice job, girlfriend.
Good job.
Ruby, 5th graders,
Peace out, dude.
they don't get to go in.
Nice job, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, good presenter. They'll be the presenters.
Oh, Michael, to take you.
Okay.
I'll take this next one if you don't mind.
I'd love to have you do that.
Okay. I wasn't present at our last meeting when the vote was made for the plaque.
Yeah.
And since that time, I had received a couple calls and concerns. So I called Mr. Ward about getting this back on the agenda. And I can make it easy to open the discussion because I would like to add Liz Sorrell's name to the plaque.
I'd like to correct something, though. First of all, we never discussed this at the meeting.
That's
So
right.
there is a misunderstanding in all of this information, is that it never came before the committee.
Okay.
So I want people to know that what came before the committee is exactly what's in the minutes. Matt LaRue gave a list of the names that will be included in the dedication plaque. The plaque will be mounted, and the only thing the committee was asked to do is verify our names. The suggestion or the question never came before the committee. So this committee has never participated in a discussion of who would be on the plaque. So I just want to make sure people understand that we had no discussion whatsoever. So it's a little confusing to read a letter like this that blames us for not doing this when nobody requested it.
These are not the concerns that I'm talking about. 'Cause
Okay.
I just saw these tonight.
Right.
As soon as you did.
And
So the fact that they're dated from December.
So in an open meeting, we never had a discussion about this topic. I
and
just
the o-
want people to understand
The only
that.
piece I'd like to jump in on that and to add is that I think that, and I mean, I take responsibility for that because I was at the meeting, and I think when that list of names was presented to us, I think there was clearly an opportunity for us to make suggestions to have there be different names. So I would agree that we may not have had an open discussion and no one actually brought Liz's name forward. It wasn't like someone made a suggestion that Elizabeth Sorrell's name should be on the plaque and the committee said no.
Right.
Right.
But I feel that I was remiss being at that meeting for not bringing Liz's name forward. And so I would also support that. I think that we should consider adding Liz's name to the plaque. Myself and Mr. Ward have gotten some letters that were sent to us that I've given to the committee at the very beginning of the meeting. And I know that Michelle Taylor actually is here to speak on Liz's behalf if the committee was willing to listen or give Mrs. Taylor the opportunity to speak. But that I would defer to the chair on. So, but that would be my only piece is I feel like.
I would love to recognize
Michelle.
Michelle. Would you like to come up, Michelle? You can.
I'll let her sit right here.
Yeah, so you can get on the microphone, please, Michelle.
Thank you. I really feel that most of what I had to say was already expressed in the letter that I also forwarded, but ultimately I just want to make sure that the town of Carver and the building committee and the entire community recognizes the years of dedication, time, and effort that Liz Sorrell put into this project. Even in the most challenging of times when we didn't think that the project was going to move forward, she was relentless in her pursuit to get the children of this town the new elementary school building that we are so proud to be planning for today. So I just want to make sure that she is forever commemorated for her efforts. And this is a part of her educational legacy. And I just want to make sure that she's included. Thanks.
Thank you, Michelle. As the chair of the committee, I spent many hours with Liz working on this and way back, hoping that our community would vote for the school and didn't, and she worked very hard through a 10-year period. And I do feel, as Scott has mentioned, that it came up at that meeting, but that meeting was at the elementary school. We had done, didn't we do a tour that night?
Yeah, we did. We did a tour at 4 o'clock, meeting at 5.
So
Right.
that was a kind of a speeded up meeting that we really, I remember Matt presenting our names and making sure we spelled them right and all that, but I don't ever remember anybody or us even thinking about any further than that. So I don't think there was something we absolutely, and most of us, I'm sure, feel that she had such a huge contribution towards that school that we would want her on it. And I bet you that's the way the vote, and I don't mean to squelch somebody that wants to go against it.
Well, I'd like to ask something, though. I mean, there's two options, I think. One would be to include it in a crowded list of names or separate it out as a separate recognition. So I'd like to at least discuss the pros and cons of both of those, because, you know, you see the committee plaques that are around town now. There's one downstairs, there's one across the street. There's a lot of names on there, and you know, a name doesn't stand out because everybody's name on it. But if you did have a separate plaque, that might mean a lot more. So I just wanted to throw that out too as a possible suggestion.
Honestly, I just wanted to make sure again that she was recognized for her efforts and her ongoing pursuit to get this building to come to fruition, because I worked in her shadow for at least 10 years, and it was 100% a goal and a focus and a main objective of her years in Carver. And I just think we as a community would be remiss by not, in some capacity, including her and recognizing her, because just as we recognized all of the people that contributed to our community, you know, from the Native Americans to now, she is a part of that legacy. And I just don't think that it would be responsible for us to send a message to the young people of this community that someone's hard work could be overlooked.
Which was not the intent at all. So I think we got
appreciate
ahead
that.
of
Thank
ourselves
you.
a little bit. I think that the tough thing is in any of these committees is sometimes maybe a conversation that maybe Dan and I have on the walk out the door, you kind of take for granted that it's getting out to the masses. Now, I know we've been doing this for years. So we're at a point now where I think the idea was always to do something grand for her. So when this came up, I know that I brought up BOS and FinCom because those aren't going to be people that would get something that would be just for her. So I'll speak for myself because I should have brought it up because James was not there. And what I did do afterwards is I've gone and taken pictures of a lot of the newer schools to get an idea to be able to send to everybody. I sent them to Scott and James afterwards to get an idea, because that day it was kind of rushed and it was more check, make sure the spelling's correct and move on. But I was always under the feeling that we were doing something to separate her and make it a grand gesture. It was never a slight.
Thank you.
We've also talked a lot about that story room means a lot to Liz, and so when we're going through the project areas, you know, that's something else that there's probably 2 or 3 more areas that we may want to name, but that story room, in my mind, I feel like it's reserved for her, but I also feel like she should be included on that plaque.
Sure. And I feel that way as well, so I feel that she should be included in the plaque and then also have the story room named after her.
So there was a lot of passion in these letters coming forth with that, Dan, and that's not where the discussion that Mr. Ward and I had a while ago, because I wasn't at the meeting, and from what I was led to believe, there was the discussion of who was going to be actually on that plaque, and that name was not
That never
there.
happened. That's what I was trying to clarify. It was
So
really-
that's why I asked them to put it on, just so we could revisit that, to make sure we're clear on that. And I do like your idea of the extra dedication. And honestly, without embarrassing you, I think if there are 2 people in this town that deserve something in that context, you'd be another one of them for what you've done to help make this happen. And you may not agree with that, but I think if that discussion is on the table right now, that's really something that should be part of that discussion also.
Yes.
I would agree, not that my vote matters for this, but the other, you know, I've been a student in this town, and Mr. Ward also had a great impact on my life as a student of Carver Public Schools, so I would agree.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people would agree.
Also,
Maybe if we
I had
give
more
Liz
of an
the reading
impact on
story,
Harry.
we can give you the gym.
Well, I married him, so it worked out for me.
Right?
I think that's
There has been discussion about,
the gym.
maybe not with Mr. Ward, but since we've gone down this topic of
You just talked
The
behind
topic
your back.
is here.
Yeah.
parking spaces, I
well,
don't know if Mr. Ward wants to be involved in that discussion, but there has been discussion about possibly naming the gym.
Well, I think there's definite validity to it, Dick, because of what you've done, you know?
you bowl me over. You know, I've seen what Liz did. I rode to Boston with her to the MSBA meetings. I know how much this meant to her. It is huge, over almost her whole time here in Carver, you know, and so we need to do something like that.
And Michelle, I'd just like to say I'm so glad that you came tonight, because I would guess most of the committee wasn't aware of the letters until tonight. And I was at the meeting, and once the conversation started a little bit afterwards, I was embarrassed personally that it didn't come up. But, now we're talking about it, and I'm glad that it's come back around, and she should get the recognition that she deserves. And I completely agree with you. Thank you.
Do you mind, can I ask a question then? If it wasn't really discussed whose name was gonna be on the plaque, whose name is gonna be on the plaque?
It never came up, like I said, the names
just
were
didn't
presented
come up
to
at
us
all.
for.
But, like,
as a
shouldn't we
building.
know?
They had a draft
Yeah.
of a list of
How do you
names,
spell
of
your
our names,
Right.
and we just went through the spelling to make sure everything was right.
So they're not
Didn't even-
doing anything progressing with making a plaque or doing anything
Oh,
right
yes.
now.
They
just-
were already
Yeah.
doing that,
Yeah,
yes.
they
so,
are.
and I believe the names that are on the plaque are the current school committee,
Yeah.
the current building committee, and the current superintendent of schools,
The architect and.
which is the building committee.
The architect, the
Project manager, the
general
construction
contractor.
And that's
company.
standard. That's
Right,
why it was,
right.
this was a different situation.
Right.
Because if you look at most building committee plaques, that's standard, so it was presented to us, are these names correct, not who should be on
Who
there.
should be on it, right?
That's why we looked at it and said,
Right.
yeah, that
That
looks
confused
correct,
me
let's
too.
vote
I'm
on
like,
it, and we're
where's the
done, you know?
Right.
But it was never a discussion of who should be on there.
So is that a possibility with what's being done, or is that plaque beyond the state where that could be added to it?
No, we're at the point where the plaque can still be
I think they held
revised.
it up.
So
We'd
is
have to
that
make a decision tonight, but we've
Yeah.
had that discussions with the architect.
I mean, if we didn't
and
vote
that
with
can
who was
be
on it
changed.
before, do we need to now, or can we just say that?
I would think we,
It was voted
The
before, so
the-
you need to amend it.
the plaque was voted.
You can reconsider it. It's a
So I would make a motion for reconsideration to add
Consideration.
Liz's name to the plaque.
second.
Second.
All those in favor of reconsidering the plaque names, say aye.
Aye.
It's opposed. It's unanimous that we're doing a reconsideration. Okay, now
Then I would
what's
make
our
a motion to
reconsideration?
add Elizabeth Sorrell's name to the plaque.
Okay,
Second.
you know, okay, motion and made and seconded, discussion, she was, at that time when we did that, she was not on the committee, so I think that's why some of us stumbled. You know, we said, well, the committee is this, this, and this, and we never thought, oh, yeah, Liz was part of our committee, but, you know, so, anyway.
So on the plaque, is it just all of our names and what committee we're on? Is that how it's structured, what it looks like? So, underneath you, could you put former superintendent Liz
They
Sorrell?
just
or-
put
Yeah, we'd have to,
superintendent and
we'll
superintendent.
work
doesn't even
with,
need to be
we'll
formal.
work with HMFH on the design of
I'll
it.
give you a quick look here.
Might have
Oh,
a
nice.
visual.
They have a
Might be in color, but.
It's not in color, I don't want to see it then.
But you have they could just be both listed as a superintendent. It doesn't have to be
Underneath.
former or anything,
Are
yeah.
you comfortable with that? I mean, I feel like if Scott's comfortable with
yeah,
that,
comfortable
then
with,
that's great.
I'm comfortable with my name not being on the plaque.
Exactly. You can take mine off or
Well, you
whatever.
earned it too, Scott.
I agree. Well, yeah, the letters, I didn't realize there was.
So does any of the other, contents of that discussion need to be something that we talk about or address, or is that something we can wait on, or
As far as?
as far as naming maybe the reading area?
I think we should do that as a separate vote.
So then, yeah, definitely a separate vote.
No, definitely a separate vote, but I'm
separate
saying, is that
discussion.
something you'd like to address, or would you rather?
No, I think if we're gonna do that, it should be finalized tonight, because we're
Soon,
gonna need to
right?
get.
We're doing naming anyhow.
Takes a
I'm
while
in.
to get the
Perfect, yeah.
These plaques take a while to produce, so
Sure.
any interest in the plaque subject would be really good to
Sooner the
nail.
better.
We can
Okay.
add a couple here and there, but we'd like to get the submittals like sitting on hold till tonight. so-
Okay.
And I do think that the gem of the story room are two other areas that we really probably need to focus on. And then if others come up in the next year or two, we can have
Can always be added later.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
But those are the major rooms in the building, the project area is the gym.
Right,
Do we have like a legendary?
which both fit into those contacts very well.
legendary cafeteria worker? I mean, it's like somebody who.
So, on the plaque, are we suggesting that the superintendent's names be entered below or right in with the? Okay, that's what we're looking at. Nick.
Yeah, just right there. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said a food diet, and I'm like, oh, what?
Yep, yep. Now, how about, you said the reading room?
Jenny Craig bitch
Storage
or
room.
something.
the one that's on the
That's, well, we voted all the other historical names, so we should vote on that, or make a motion on that.
All right, well, we have a motion on the floor. I think we have to vote on
Finish this one
before.
first.
Yeah.
Walter will get that in a second.
Come on, Walter.
Yeah, there's a lot of pages. It's a lot of pages in that submittal.
So I guess the motion is really to add her name.
The very
Is
end.
there any-
Yes.
Right.
Right,
So,
right.
and
I
we
think
don't
we wanted to
necessarily.
make the format so you could decide how you wanted to put it on the plaque. Where?
Well, I guess my point is regardless, the vote is to do it or not.
Correct.
So if
Right,
we
the
just
vote's not
vote to
gonna
do
say
it,
where
we
it's
can
gonna be
vote
placed.
We
now.
can
We could
vote,
vote
yeah.
on it now, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay. We know what we're voting? All
Yes.
right, all those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous.
All right,
Thank you
now-
very much. I really appreciate it. And just thank you for considering the letters and for allowing me to speak and for doing the right thing. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you should let people know that it never came before the committee. I don't know why there was a misunderstanding
Yeah, I
here.
mean,
These
I
letters seem pretty
definitely-
bad,
Well,
but
I
it
heard
never
that it
was
did.
brought before the committee. No, that's, so to correct it, here's our minutes we voted on. The last time we met was December 4th, and it never came up. So that, people should know that.
I will definitely make that clarification to the other,
Concerned people.
the other concerned parties that wrote the letter, but, I just appreciate it, so thank you.
Okay, now
Thank you,
voting on the,
I'd like to make a motion for 2 more placards for areas that the story room be named the Elizabeth Sorrell story room, or however we want to word it, and that the gymnasium in the new elementary school is named the Richard or Dick Ward, his preference, gymnasium.
Second.
any more discussion?
I would fully support that. It just makes me feel so excited and happy and proud because, you know, you've worked so hard, Mr. Ward and Liz, in these, you are role models, just like Liz was for our children. And so it wouldn't make, I'm just feeling so proud that we would do that.
You guys gotta cut this out.
It's
Rudy,
just,
I
it's
think, and
important.
not that it has to do with emotion, but I think that that's something we can also add to the opening when we do
Yes.
the opening. And I
Yep.
think Liz's dedication to literacy is an awesome, to name that reading room after her and to have somebody, not the
Speak about
plaque
that.
may be her name, but to have somebody to speak to that and to speak to Mr. Ward on that night, I think would be a really good addition to
A couple of students, and we'll have them interview Mr. Ward maybe,
Yeah.
and then we'll get someone to maybe meet with Liz's daughters and gather some information.
Sure.
Just, I think it would be nice to include students on that, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like that. Okay, all those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You and I, Scott? No? Okay, unanimous, Kelly. You know, I was thinking, my first year of teaching in 1964 was in the corner room, second floor of the Governor John. You know, and when that ceremony comes up and the fond farewell thing, I will be there.
Do you ever think someday they'll name this gym after me?
Every day.
So Dick, I also just want to extend my appreciation for all your efforts in terms of your leadership, in terms of the building committee, but also just as a teacher and a member of the Carver community. So when I first started teaching in 1993, Dick was, I believe it was Dick's final year, the year he retired, was my first year of teaching. So Dick was a phys ed teacher at the middle high school. I was a brand new, young social studies teacher at the middle high school.
You were coaching tennis
I was
and
coaching
you were
tennis.
coaching basketball.
Yep, I was. And even at that time, Dick was obviously a tremendous role model to me, a mentor in that first year, reached out to me, and I had some great mentors throughout my career, and I was always impressed by people who went out of their way and didn't say, hey, there's that young guy, just and laugh at me, but actually brought me in and supported me, and Dick was one of those people. And then obviously your leadership and within the community in terms of getting this project that has been tremendous. So I think it's definitely a worthy honor that I believe will have community support in terms of beyond the building committee, in terms of having the gymnasium named after you. So congratulations and thank you. Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You said it.
Welcome to Liz.
Dick was my soccer coach and track coach and phys ed.
Yeah.
Well, you said it too. You know, you were at those meetings with Liz. You were there. You were dedicated to doing it and making it happen too. And the Board of Selectmen, which you were part of at that time, played a pivotal role in getting this passed and making this happen with the support that they offered through this process. So you were a very big part of this being accomplished the way it was.
This is so great, you know. I have 7 daughter-in-laws or granddaughters that are teachers, and I am going to invite them down for this opening, big time.
Nice.
So I'm proud of the
You should.
project.
So there's the current structure of the plaque as it's been submitted at this time. I thought the school committee was on it.
Can you review it, Scott? I can't even.
So it lists the members of the school building committee.
Yep.
You can probably,
It lists the members of the technical review committee.
Yep.
It lists the architect, the project manager, and the general contractor.
Do we recognize the school committee and the selectmen?
Only there's titles, interestingly enough, the titles are on the technical review committee, which is Bill Harriman, John Del Pascoli, myself, which has the title of superintendent, Ruby's, my assist is the title of principal, Michael Bonowski, title of town administrator, Dave Cientoff, title of director of operations and maintenance. The technical review committee is a group that meets on a weekly basis with the construction team to oversee construction. So those meetings have been happening since construction has begun. Reviews all change orders, reviews the processes, works with the project managers, works with the architects in terms of the, in essence, that group is doing the week-by-week overseeing of the project, obviously in great coordination with PMA, who's done a great job. John, Walter, and Chad, and Pascal. So they've been tremendous. So I guess the question would be how would
so
we
is
add
the plan
Liz
to
into
just
that
put her as
plaque?
a school building committee? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think we just list her as a member of the school
School
building.
building committee?
We can get that over to HMFH.
She was a member of the school building committee?
I think they've heard the concerns earlier, so they might already have a draft of something going,
Okay.
so
By adding her name to the school building committee?
I believe they probably already.
Would we put the
I
title,
don't know that for
on
sure.
the school building committee on this, there's no titles right now, but would we add her title there? Or no, we just add her name?
Probably just a name, right?
Yeah,
If there were titles there, yeah, but there's none other there. So.
I think that makes sense.
And I think that can be part of that dedication in the literacy center.
Yep.
You know.
Absolutely.
And then it would be alphabetical order, right?
It is.
How it was,
It is
yeah.
alphabetical.
So she would end up being right
Yeah,
before.
it's alphabetical after the
Right after
chair
me.
and not vice chair.
They might do like 3 rows,
Yeah, they might go to.
not make one longer, then they might try to, do like
Yeah, it's gotta be-
4 in the middle, 5 on each side, or however, 4 and
It
4
needs
and
to be
3.
balanced.
Which is pretty good to get.
Yeah, just,
Gives us 13. Is that a nice way to do 13?
We'll figure it out. Your name. Wouldn't it fall
A
right after
baker's
Andrew
dozen.
anyway?
After me.
Mr. Neef, that's a baker's dozen.
Sorrel. S-O-R-R. It's after him.
They'll figure it out. They'll make it work.
Oh, you're right, after Andrew.
No, it'd be after
Dave.
Andrew.
Yeah.
After Andrew.
Oh, I
S-O-R.
always think it's S-O-W.
S-O-R-R.
We gotta pull out the dictionaries, I think, or something.
I can't believe, all of our last names.
Oh, yeah, so she
It would fall at the end anyway. It'd be the last thing on the.
Yeah.
I think they have a draft, but I'm not positive.
Sounds good.
Okay.
We gotta leave here comfortable with this, so any more thoughts on this? On the plaque or
I
anything?
mean, they'll bring the draft of the plaque back to, I'm sure we'll see a copy of it at the technical review committee. So I'll probably see it, Ruby and I will probably see it, and Dave, and we'll probably see it, if not this Thursday, definitely the next Thursday.
So on the dedication plaques that we talked about with the other one, is that gonna be, should we maybe talk what's on that? Is that
No,
their name, is it their?
we haven't really talked about whether that's gonna go through the project or if we're gonna do that separately.
The plaques
Yeah,
for the project?
all the project areas, which I'm not opposed to it being through the project, we just haven't talked about it.
I was actually talking about the dedications to Liz and to Dick.
But I think they should all have a similar type of
Yeah.
format, I
Similar
guess, in
format.
my
It's
mind.
better to get them
Yeah, I
all
think-
from one source.
Yeah, so we
Yeah,
should
we'll
probably
talk
get
to
them all
the
from one
architect.
source and.
Okay.
And we have talked to Matt LaRue about the plaques. He's,
John and I
Working
did a
on
lot
that,
of them at the Carver, Shrewsbury Public Library.
The
Special areas named
Yeah.
after a lot, like what was talked about.
it gets into expense. I mean, my thought would be some sort of likeness with a small description. But of why they were important to the community or to the project.
Right, I agree.
Okay, we have one at our school. I can take a picture of one.
Okay.
If we want to add that to what we're doing, is that going to create a time problem? No?
Yeah,
No, these bronze plaques take a lot longer to
This
make,
is the one
but
that was.
Oh, okay.
and these will,
I want to say we have.
right, and these would be a little smaller than I would assume than
Yes.
that, and would be easier to hang and mount and all those
How big
things.
is this one?
This is big, this is probably, what, like 2,
It should say it right on there. 24 by 30, maybe.
Oh, so it's good size.
It's a big plaque.
It's a big plaque.
It doesn't say.
It's okay.
We have
Okay.
our next construction meeting on Thursday, so we can talk to the architect, or we can email him.
Yeah, and they'll come up with some design
right.
for us. in the plaques.
So I think we should just make sure though, before that plaque decision is made, that that's a discussion we all have as far as what goes on them and,
I don't think you have time though, right?
well, it depends. We're talking
For another
about
building.
almost subletting it, doing it separately, right? Isn't that the conversation?
Well, I think we'll put it to the architect, we'll see if, what our timeframes are.
Yeah.
How quick they need to turn around on it.
The bronze plaque is the one that's more time sensitive than the
Right.
Okay.
So the other ones, there's time to have the discussion of, unless you want to do that now.
So my
Doesn't matter to me.
only question, James, would be, by saying you want to have discussion on it, would your preference be that you, at our next meeting, we actually have a draft of each plaque?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is you
Know
just
what
gonna
the
put the
verbiage is
name on
gonna
the
be.
plaque, you're gonna put, yeah, what is the verbiage on the plaque?
My
gonna
thought
be?
would be, like I said, I would think some sort of an image with a small, brief paragraph, a biograph,
For each one
paragraph
of them.
for each one of them.
So we
For all,
talked,
for all the 6 project areas and
Right.
for the gym and the
I think that we
storeroom.
talked about there being some kind of image.
Yeah.
we've had that conversation, and I know Mrs. Giswaldo worked with Amy Shepherdson to look for some images. So some of them, obviously, they shared with us here. But we're gonna have to do a little bit more digging. I don't know that we're gonna be able to come up with a couple of them. So we'll have to maybe,
Well, they don't all have to be the same. I mean, if we don't find,
If you're gonna put them on a plaque, they need to be a pretty high resolution
right,
image to get them on a plaque.
right, which we may not be able to find for some of those older.
So it might
Right.
be a name.
Might just be a name with a description.
That sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I think,
If you wanna go similar in all of them, though.
name and
Right,
little
Okay.
similar style and design,
Yeah, absolutely.
just kind of what the kids
with
shared.
with a brief dedication.
Yes, with a brief dedication.
So what are we doing? Are we going to see drafts at the next
Well,
meeting, or are we deciding
That's my
right now?
question, is, I'm sorry, I was really asking James what he was asking for. Was he asking for us to get drafts and bring them back to the committee, or you just want
Well,
general
I mean,
structure?
clearly there was confusion with this. I just don't want there to be any more confusion. I want there to be clarity so that we know what we're doing and what we're voting on before it starts getting done and people realize it's not what they thought.
But these
I just don't wanna
plaques
see that
can
happen
wait.
again.
Like, I mean, the lighter plaques, how long do they take to do?
This plaque has to be done and is being done. The other
'Cause
plaques,
these-
Hate
This
to say
plaque, I
a
get it
month, but
here.
I'd like this to be done as soon as
In-
possible.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
want to wait till April
I'm only-
25th
I
to
agree.
decide what's going to be put
Right.
on them.
Gotcha.
Not
I
that
agree.
they're not important, but
And the,
I think we can, I don't know who would come
Well-
up with the phrase or whatever.
well, we would
Can
work
we
on that with
email
the,
it to everybody or
Well,
something?
I think
Or
we
let's
need
just-
to, I think what needs to happen.
Does everybody know John? He's part of our PMA team.
I didn't.
Okay.
Our presentation's after this.
so here's
Go
my
on, John.
point though, I guess, Dick, we can agree tonight right now, because if the concept is that there's gonna be a little dedication with possibly like with Liz or with Dick, their tenure here and when they were here, something like that, then I don't think we should be squabbling over what's exactly said, just
Yeah,
understanding that that's the format.
My proposal would be that
It's
they would be
fine.
common plaques, so the plaques would all have the same look and style. If you think imaging is going to be an issue, then it would be a name with a description of the person and why they were important to the community of Carver. So what were their contributions to the community of Carver? And have them all be similar in terms of length and size.
Yes.
And actually, but have the actual design of the plaque be exact. And, obviously, the only thing that would change would be the person's name and then what the verbiage was for the description.
Right, but
But
we
the
can't do
concept of
that
the
yet.
description would be, how did they contribute to the community of Carver?
So who puts together the verbiage?
Yeah.
Oh, they'll probably be the,
Similar to what the kids.
The
The kids have done a lot of it, yeah. The
That
kids
would-
have already done
Yeah.
most of the footwork. It's
And obviously it'll be
Mr.
all-
Ward and Liz that things have to be formulated.
I mean, Ruby and I
I was
will
meaning
see
more
it,
the ones
Ruby and I
for
will see it and
Liz
approve
and
it.
Dick.
So I think
Liz and Dick.
the next step is we bring what we've just discussed to HMFH, the architect.
Yeah.
They take that content and say, okay, you know, physically, we can't have everything. This is a rough size. This is probably what we can fit.
Right. This is what
To
we
make
can
them
do.
all uniform.
They'll give us
I'm
a sense of
sure
how
they're
many
gonna
words
have-
we can fit in and.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So then will you
They'll
come
be-
back and show us? Is that what your thought is? Or?
They'll be located in areas with other plaques, like, you know, there's other rooms, so they'll want them to be of the same material.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know.
I get that.
Well, I think the-
personally feel like it doesn't necessarily have to go back to the committee.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the
that's
point
why
is they
I'm
don't
asking, like,
want
what
it.
are we
Yeah, the
looking for?
timeframe won't want it to.
Right.
I think we can talk to HMFH.
Right.
But I think, Heather, the thing is we're here and we all understand that that's exactly what it's gonna be
Yes,
like. So
okay,
there's
yeah.
no confusion with that.
I-
What
I-
exactly the verbiage is, I don't wanna say irrelevant, but not something we need to.
Well, you've got it through my head, that should be good. I mean, it's pretty, you know, you said you want to make a consistent plaque, and you pretty much spelled out what you want, and so we've already voted it, so,
You have the information from
Right.
students on all the other.
yep.
It's already done, right.
So,
I think HMFH can work with
do we,
almost every.
I mean, Ruby and I will approve what's on each of the plaques in terms of the paragraph.
So I know you said like to get some kids involved with Mr. Ward and with Liz, but I almost think staff has had so much involvement. There's so many people in the staff that have been involved with them that might be a good place to get sort of verbiage or information from to maybe write something
Well,
up,
we could do that too.
you know?
Yeah. But I,
Just a thought.
in terms of, I mean, there, you know, Mr. Ward is here with us, so we can definitely talk
He's
to him
alive and
about that.
kicking.
Right. Yeah, but he's gonna be a little too humble when he's trying to tell you what he's done for the town, so
So
you
you're
get all the right
saying,
information
so you're saying try to gather some of that information from
others
some
and
teachers.
Formulate, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, you really, if you're talking about the gym, it's his educational experience and what he did to help build that school.
I could see that being huge, James, so we're gonna have to really,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a lot, yeah. So I guess, I mean,
been on a
Michelle will
lot
add
of
it.
committees
Yeah.
in town.
Michelle has volunteered to edit.
Yeah, there we go.
yeah.
So
Okay.
once HMFH gets the conceptual design of what they want, then this will be a owner-driven change order.
Yeah.
So that cost will come back to the TRC.
If
for
we want to
approval,
do it
just so
through the
everybody
project, or
knows.
we can decide to do it separately.
Right, right. Exactly.
Okay,
Are we at a consensus, I guess?
we're out of consensus, I think.
All right, anything else that needs to be mentioned on that? I don't want to leave it without being happy with it, okay? All right, Chair, Walter, general construction update? Are you up for that, or John, you're gonna delegate that to John?
So I'll start off. Do you guys have any questions after the walkthrough that we had? I know we went through the building, but if you have anything, just jump out and talk to them. You know, right now we're 77% of the way through phase one. So phase one completion is scheduled for June 22nd. That's still the date we're gonna look to have that building complete and be ready. You know, we're working with the school and Brad and Scott and Ruby on, you know, we had a couple snow days in the past couple weeks. So we're working on scheduling for the move out for the other building. And I know you guys heard a lot about that tonight with the ceremony and that committee. We've roughly passed 1% in change orders, which is extremely good at this point in the project. So, you know, we're moving through the building, and you know, the next big thing is going to be phase two and getting everyone out of the old buildings and moved into the new, so that we can demo the old and get the new infiltration systems in and the parking lots in, and then start working on the fields as well. So it's really a quick update. I don't know if anyone has any other questions on it.
Well, part of our update was going through the building.
Yeah.
So you said we're, what, 77%
Through
complete?
phase one.
Oh, phase one, and that's the building itself.
That's the building itself, yep.
And how much of our contingency is still remaining?
Percentage-wise, we are 78% contingency remaining right now. So we've expended 21%.
Something happened, we're in 85 at our last meeting?
Yeah, we've executed 2 change orders. Nothing big has
Nothing
happened. It's just standard changes. I think we're at about 50-50, maybe even a little bit higher owner-driven changes than design changes. So HMFH has really done a good job with their drawings, so.
Some of that feel for John?
No, that's actually just, that's in potential right now, what we're carrying for those costs. But again, those are set by MSBA, so there's not much we can do with them. But yeah, nothing, no big change orders at this time. We wrap a lot of little changes into a change order when we execute them, so that's why there was 2 larger ones as opposed to the last time we met, which was what, December?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've actually done three change orders since then. So that would have been the big jump.
Walter, question for you. So is the furniture considered phase 1? When we get all the furniture in, the new furniture?
It's, it's probably not going to be in phase 1. It would
Okay.
probably be after June 22nd.
Okay.
We have received all the bids for that, so we are tracking a more accurate number for what that cost is. But we're probably going to start seeing furniture in July. I don't think we'll see any in June.
Okay. So things like the blinds, when will those start going up?
Those will probably start going up April, May,
Okay.
maybe a little after.
You didn't see any in there
I
today?
didn't, so I missed them? So they're in,
Oh, they're already
okay.
started?
I missed them.
They're delivered. They're in
That
packages.
big electric scissor lift in the cafeteria for the power blinds in the caf, actually.
Okay.
For them to get up in those tight areas. But
Oh.
all the A wing has, the classrooms have all the blinds in
I
it.
didn't even pick up on that.
And I think all of B probably does.
Well, we didn't walk down B. That's why.
I know. A's done.
It's phenomenal. I just have to say, I just love all of the detail in that building.
So
It's just so
impressive.
so student-friendly, all of the alcoves, sort of the areas for the kids. They're gonna want to stay there forever.
Really impressive.
So other comments?
Good chance.
Andy? No?
No.
Heather?
Good.
No? Sarah?
Well, so that, you mentioned that percentage complete and percentage of contingency is good for this stage of the project. You guys are happy with that, pleased with that relative to other projects, and so that's really something to be proud of.
I think it's a real, it's credit to this committee, it's credit to HMFH, and it's credit to the trades that are out there working. They're catching stuff before anything's becoming an issue.
That's great.
Well, thank you, Walter.
Yep.
And thank you, John. Dan, anything you think of? No? Okay, we're down to the bottom of our agenda. We have any new business, additional business, anybody?
I just wanted to mention one thing. I wanted to make the committee aware that as a proposed change order right now, there were two items that were value engineered out of the project by this committee. That's come before the technical review committee, that the technical review committee has voted to add back into the project because we felt like we were in a place that we could do that in terms of spending for contingency. One was a scoreboard in the gym. So remember the meeting that went on till 1 in the morning?
The wee hours.
The wee hours of the morning when we were value engineered out. One of the things, people may not remember everything that was value engineered out.
Right.
Oh,
It was a big list, but one of the things was a scoreboard in the gym. And then the other was an electronic sign out front. So I just wanted the committee to be aware that in terms of possible change orders, things we're investigating is adding back a scoreboard in the gym, which I would clearly support, and then also adding back in a signage out in the front, electronic sign out in the front.
And that's an entrance and at the other end.
Yeah.
Where you pull in.
But I want, since the committee, those are things that the committee had value engineered out. That's the only change orders we've done that would be, I don't know, opposition is not the right word, but would be bringing back things that the committee value engineered out. But as I said, the technical review committee has been supportive of those changes, and I just wanted to make the committee aware of them.
Does that require a vote of the committee to bring them back? And do we have costs for them?
We do have the cost for the scoreboard. It was roughly $9,000. And it matches the shot clocks that exist in the gymnasium already. So the page did a really good job of that.
We're still working on the cost for the electronic side.
We are. We ran, owned in the drawings was power out to that sign already.
In case we wanted to add a sign in the future.
Which is a larger cost to do that after. So that future expansion was already there.
So
Just the sign.
the electrical stuff to the sign is already there.
We had planned on that.
The conduits for it,
I think the discussion for these two items was if
Not the wire.
if the time came when the project
Had the money.
at this point and the
Because I'm struggling. The electricity was already there for the scoreboard too. Yeah, so we had put things in place to add those things if the opportunity came up. And we feel like we're in a place with the contingency and with what we spent, that the opportunity is there for those two things to come up. But I felt like I should bring it up to the committee, just based on those were things that were specifically value engineered out of the project, and the committee should be aware of those things that we move forward on considering them.
I appreciate that input.
So I'm not opposed to the committee making a motion and voting on it, or
Supporting or non-supporting you folks?
yeah.
What's your pleasure, folks?
What other items did we, I guess, are in the running? Do you have others that you're gonna look at after
There was
this,
that.
or-
So what we did is process-wise for that is Ruby and I did sit down and we went through everything that was value engineered out. So we were provided a list of all items that were value engineered out, and in essence to get our thoughts on them. And I think that came up partly because we had to be reminded that we voted out a scoreboard. And maybe members of this committee have to be reminded that you voted out a scoreboard. So we were like, there's no scoreboard? And we're like, that was value engineered out. So Ruby and I went back through the list and we reviewed everything that was value engineered out. And from our perspective as the school, those are the only two items we felt like that we'd even consider bringing back. Now, I guess you're making the point that value engineered list could have come back to the whole committee and said, we have X number of dollars to spend, what would you like to bring back in? Ruby and I felt strongly that looking at the list, those were the only two items that we felt that we'd like to, move forward on the list of items that are value engineered out.
But you don't have a cost yet on the sign, right? Or a ballpark?
No, on the electronic sign, I think we're carrying something along the lines of $25,000 to $30,000 for the sign. That's what the cost for the fire department sign was.
About 25, 30.
Roughly in the ballpark of that, and we're working with a designer for that. And in addition to what Scott was talking about, bringing stuff back into the project, a lot of the items that are on that list at this point in the project really can't be brought in. We've
Passed it.
And to even think about it would be exponentially increasing the cost for them as opposed to keeping them in originally. These two, the nice thing about them is that they were there. All they were is the purchase and install, which is what you would have paid for in the original price to begin with. So it's not like you're paying a premium to have these two things added in.
All the infrastructure was in place for both of those things, which also gave us the indication that was something. And as Walter said, I think we were recollecting that we were recreating that discussion as well, saying that if there was options to do that, we'd try to move forward to do that, just because obviously we put the infrastructure in place for both
They're
items.
important.
Well, what's the typical time frame doing a project this size that you do revisit the contingency to find out if there's things you want to add back in? I mean, depends on the item.
It depends on the item. It depends on every client.
So 77%, what dollar value is that? What does that equate to that we have left in our contingency?
Just put 70. Oh, he said what?
70%.
He said 78%.
Just ballpark.
Remaining about 1.5.
1.5 million.
We're still tracking, quite a number of change orders. I think about 300,000 in construction right now as open items. There's always unforeseens with abatement, and when you get into demolition, there's some costs there. So we're tracking some items there. But right now, remaining 1.5, and I think we're tracking about 300 in construction. construction, and then some other ones that are on the town's end for FF&E, IT, a lot of stuff we've talked about with Ruby, Dave, and Scott on making sure that the right furniture goes into that building, the right IT equipment, and the right IT that's running that building.
So would it make sense to kind of know what those numbers might be before we start? Was the intent to vote on doing a scoreboard tonight? Or are we thinking about looking at what are our potential changes down the road?
No, so, and I guess my only caveat, and this becomes a discussion of what's the role of the committees. So the committee did approve the creation of a technical review committee that reviews all change orders. And so not every change order comes back to this committee. And we meet on a weekly basis, we go over everything, we go over every item. That committee has approved adding the scoreboard and the electric sign in. I just felt like I felt the need to be brought up to this committee because in essence you had evaluated, engineered those things out. The other changes that have come up have just been changes in construction, either design flaws or adding the FF&E, adding different technology. But each of those, so each change order we've approved hasn't come back to the full committee for approval. But since these two things were specifically evaluated and engineered, I felt I should mention it. So I guess my position would be that the technical review committee that was appointed through this group to oversee the project and review change orders and approve change orders, that in some ways the group is given the authority to do that. And that's been happening throughout the entire project. And that these two items they have approved to move forward on. I'm part of that committee, and so is Dave, and Michael Milanowski, and John Del Pascoli, and Bill Harriman, and Ruby. And Dick comes in and joins us sometimes. He comes in. Dick's not there every Thursday. He comes in a lot, checks in with us, and see what's happening. So I don't know if this formally has to go back to the building committee. And from our perspective, I don't think there's any other specific changes we're going to be looking forward to bring back. We're not making a proposal that we go back through the value engineering list. And ultimately, I'm saying that Ruby and I did do that. We went back through just to say, is there anything else we feel like is important to the project that we missed? And really what initiated the conversation was the scoreboard. We felt like the scoreboard's a big piece of the project. It would make sense if we have the ability to add that at this time that we do it. So from my perspective, I don't know if it necessarily needs a vote or approval of the school building committee, but obviously the school building committee is big picture overseeing the entire project. But I feel like the committee has deferred that to the technical review committee because not every change order is coming back to the committee for approval or review. But I thought you should be aware.
That was my understanding too.
It's not on our agenda anyway,
Right.
but I think it's kind of moot.
I think the issue is, though, if we took a formal vote to not include those items, we probably need to take a vote to modify. Now, a typical change order might be because it was a problem on the job. That's what I usually think of a change order as, is that they ran into a problem, so the technical review committee has to resolve that problem, and that problem is that it will take funds to fix the problem.
That's part of it. It's
Right.
also...
But, I don't know if the FF&E and the technology things that we're looking at would necessarily be viewed as
So it may not be a bad idea if the committee
problem.
took a vote only because they voted to remove those
and
items.
I'm fine with the committee
As a
taking a vote,
committee
but
as a whole, even though there is a technical review committee in place, it was still a formal vote that was taken by this committee to value engineer those items out. So I think it probably, to close the loop, probably should go through a formal vote.
I would make a motion that we add the scoreboard and the electric sign on the front of the building that was valued and engineered out back into the project, as supported by the technical review committee.
Second?
Second.
I'm gonna say, I'm glad you brought it up because, and you've defined what the technical committee and their jobs and responsibility is. And for the people at home, because they at least know that we have discussed things. And so, however we
I think
end
so
up.
if people know that there's a group that meets every week that's
Yes.
reviewing every piece of the project that goes forward.
Yeah, and that's very important to the people to know that that committee is on top of it every single Thursday with the construction people, with the architects, with the project managers. So, what you've decided there, I would consider a huge weight. I mean, but I think that Dan is right. This committee had to vote that night till midnight on things, so, okay. We've made the motion. Any other discussion?
So it's about $40,000 we're looking at between the two
Approximately.
items?
Yep.
And you're saying there's $1.5 million left, so it would be, and then, but you expect about $300,000
In construction, there's some.
that's already going to be used, so you're probably getting closer towards the $1 million value soon. But you don't, do you foresee anything beyond that right now in change orders?
I thought there was a big number for furniture or something that you were looking at.
Yeah, the 300,000 is construction, that's not including
Furniture technology.
So there may be more changes. Do you have any idea what those are?
The furniture number was
Just over 1.1.
no, but yeah, so it's about 120 over.
120,000 over.
And the technology numbers actually come down. The technology package has just gone out to bid. The estimates on the technology package, I believe, John Walton, correct me if I'm wrong, it's around 60, 80,000 is what we're looking to be over in the technology. So the two of those combined be a little over 240.
Okay.
MSBA sets that budget, that original FF&E IT budget.
800.
Not many, if any, can hit that number.
So,
It's 12.
so from a numbers perspective, obviously we've asked for recommendations from PMA, from HMFH, if adding those scoreboard or the sign-in is going to put us at any liability of not overutilizing that contingency, and it's clearly been that that's not a concern.
Mm-hmm. So there's
Based on where we are in the project at this time.
There's 300,000 pending, and then you're saying about 240 if you include the scoreboard, so that's going to put us about 540 into the 1.5, so it's going to just drop you below $1 million. Is that adding up about right?
I'd say that's about right, and again, we still have the whole phase 2 with that demo and abatement, and potential unforeseens that are in the ground over there. You do run into that type of stuff when you're demoing a building of those ages. You know,
So-
there's not a number that we could put to those, but we are aware that, there's issues.
So once we start demoing the building, you're saying there may be something. Well,
But
most likely,
I don't wanna say there's not, that's,
most likely, I think the probability is high. Once we start demoing over there, you're going to run into something.
you don't always.
I mean, there was a lot of exploratory testing
Yeah.
done, so hopefully they've identified everything that needs remediation.
Hopefully
No
not.
guarantees, but a lot of preliminary testing was done to the best they could.
We usually find a lot of stuff on like foundations, but we already went and dug around them. We didn't see anything in the exploratory holes. We'd gone up on the roof and taken chunks of both buildings, all different flashings, found nothing extra. It's what would be buried maybe under the slab, an old tank or something, or some transite pipe, asbestos pipe that was left there. It still has to be disposed of.
Okay.
The time capsule.
Ever find that yet?
I just wanted to say, in terms of the sign out in front, the board, I really started to get somewhat anxious, knowing that school, we're going to be moving into this school in the next 3 months or so, and thinking about all of the information that we post, that we share, that we need to get out to parents. I really felt like we really need to have a more concrete plan. It's coming just right around the corner, and we could potentially not have a message board out there. It's very concerning to me.
Well, I would say too, just to add to that, I mean, we got to walk through that awesome building tonight, and that cafeteria and that room is a community room. And there's lots of areas that can be used there for the community, so that access to a board to be able to post things that may be going on in the building is also something.
I don't think the intent was not to have something. I think it was taken off because of the, what
The money.
affordability
Oh,
and the
yeah.
money. So there's still, so the fact that they,
Right.
right, so you still have to look at the end of the project, how are we going to be looking? We wouldn't want to run out of money and then be in trouble
Right.
at the end of the project. So that's the thing you
Right.
have to factor in when you do the demolition and the new park, and what was the timing. So I think that's more the question is, when would we do it in the project, not do we need to do it? So it was all about the contingency part of this, making sure we felt comfortable with the way that the money was being used and what was left to do on the project. And I don't know if we're there yet or not. That's what I'm trying to determine, because we haven't started the demolition.
I think the technical review committee, after sitting in on a year and a few months of meetings, has come to the conclusion that, at this point, they're comfortable with it, so I would defer to them. PMA, I think we would have stepped up and said something if we didn't think that putting these in would be I think it's a big detriment to not have a scoreboard or a sign for the school, and I think, the committee's taken, and Scott and Ruby have taken time to really look at that list, and you don't want to add in things that you don't need, but they're needed.
And every cost that we've looked at, I mean, we've gotten, there have clearly been times when PMA or HMFH has said, that's going to be costly, and you're not going to be able to do that. So my sense would be, if they felt uncomfortable with us moving forward with either one of those two, that they would be giving us clear information that they're uncomfortable with that. And they haven't at this time on either one of those two things. As I said, especially since, Ruby and I did go through the list of everything that was value engineered out and said, those were really the only two items we felt like if we had the opportunity to add them back in, we think that would be a real value to the project.
So they have to also be done within a certain time frame, because of course we don't want to bring on any delays to the GC, bring detriment to the project, so, they have to be done within a window, and if the costs aren't right, whatever costs we get, that's, it won't happen, obviously, so we have a little window here to get a couple things done before a message can get out for people before the school opens, and as long as everybody here is good, we'll see if we can do that.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, we're ready to vote, okay? All those in favor of this motion, the scoreboard and the sign, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, again, we're unanimously in favor, and I'm glad we had good discussion. Okay, that would have been under new business. So, is there any other new business that you folks can think of other than next meeting?
A date.
I got a question. One is on the, I think we talked about the demolition of the current building, and you said that starts how far after the new building gets opened or gets turned?
We own that building, the two buildings, the last day that we have to turn them over to the general contractor is June 29th. We'd like to get them as soon as we can over to them, because we know how tight that schedule window is from June 29th to August 27th to have a binder course down for that pavement. So we've been working with Scott, Brad, and Ruby to have a moving company in as soon as we can, and Scott and Ruby have actually been working with, one's here, their IT department to make sure that those buildings are ready to go. So anything that's going over to the high school being saved, brought over to the high school. So they're doing a great job with that, but that's the schedule and time frame that we're looking at, is any time sooner than June 29th, so.
I was just going to say that.
The
Do we know?
last day for the elementary school is Friday, June 22nd.
So
And,
basically, we have 7 days to remove everything. We're responsible for everything in that building that is not part of the building. So those buildings have to be emptied in under 1 week, which is quite a feat.
And
Yeah.
Brad's actually
Yeah.
taking the lead on that in terms of getting the contractors who are going to move the boxes.
So right now,
and-
the estimate is on Saturday and Sunday of that weekend, all the boxes and all material that's going over from the old buildings to the new will take place. And hopefully, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are the 3 days to remove everything from the buildings. I'm hopeful to have everything out of the front building by Monday, so we can turn that building over Tuesday.
Critical building,
Yeah.
that's why we need help.
And have we looked at taking anything that's being left in the building, like, I don't know, ovens, things like that?
We have some kitchen equipment that's already coming over.
It's coming over.
It's already been tagged, it's already been
And we have been opening it up to the community, and we're going to continue to do that. So actually, groups from Town Hall have gone through the building. A whole bunch of community groups have gone through and said, I want this item, I want that item. They're being tagged. And then same thing, they're going to have to come and get them. So in that same time frame, they're going to have to come and pull their items out.
And we're doing that on Friday. Anyone in the community that's getting things has to pick it up by that Friday. We don't want anyone in the building with all our vendors who are taking things out.
And we've done some open houses for local daycare and preschool providers. We're going to do that again, giving them the opportunity to come in and take a look at items. So we are trying to put it out there to the community that there's items that you can come and go through. And there's like,
Are they purchasing any items? Are there any?
right now everything's going to the town or local community, like preschool is being donated.
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't want to pick a date for our next meeting.
Yes, what's crucial and we have, we've been quite a while since our last meeting, but now we're getting down to it. So, what's your pleasure,
I would
folks?
think we'd meet maybe sometime in May prior to
Any of the ceremonies?
closing. The closing ceremony is June 9th, so maybe mid-May somewhere.
And the committees should have a pretty good idea of how everything's gonna work. I mean, the ceremony committee and,
I think it's a pretty good design right now, it just needs to be all refined.
yep.
Oh, yes.
Other than that, I think everything's
We'll
pretty-
just do an update at that time. So May, okay, pick a date and then mid-May,
How about
town
that
meeting,
first- how about-
election, all that's done.
I'd advocate for the first week of May, if we can at least start with that.
And do a Monday night, May 7th?
Monday originally was one of
Meeting,
our
yeah.
regular meetings, so Monday, May 7th.
Will we do the same format, like walk through the building again and then come here, or just here?
You can.
Your choice.
Yeah, we can. I think it'll be
If-
later on.
If we can, I think it would be
Yeah,
great to do it.
I liked that.
If you guys don't mind us in your hair.
So same time too?
Want to do 6 and 7 or 5 and 6? I think we only did 5 and 6 again based on light daylight. If it's easier for people for work to do 6 and 7, what's the preference of the committee? 5 and 6, 6 and 7?
6 is
I'm
better.
open.
6 and 7?
6 is better.
Because it'll be,
Okay, so 6
by that
for
time
the
it should be
tour,
pretty.
7 for the meeting. You wanna have the meeting here or you wanna have it over there?
Probably here is better.
I think.
I think it's better over here.
Have it here,
Okay.
all right?
Great.
So, anybody got a problem with that? Okay, May 7th, 6 tour, 7 meeting. All right? Okay, I guess we're all set.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.